Last Pint Productions presents the New Way podcast. The New Way contains adult content, and new episodes are released most Wednesdays. So back off, man. We're professionals. Listener discretion is advised.
So you were in Vietnam, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah?
Were you in the shit?
Yeah, I was in shit.
Last night, Darth Vader came down from planet Vulcan and told me that if I didn't take Lorraine out, that he'd melt my brain.
Here's how you get him. He pulls a knife, you pull a gun. He sends one of yours to the hospital, you send one of his to the morgue.
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass.
Everybody wants to be naked and famous. Everybody wants to be just like me. I'm naked.
Will you help teach me about this? What is it? A new way?
Hello, and welcome once again to the New Way podcast. We break down pop culture so you don't have to. I am in the studio with Benny Scott Wilson. How's it going, Benny?
I'm here.
Yes. And we have now technically not their first time on the podcast. I believe you participated in the Ben's Birthday Extravaganza podcast that we did during a party. I think you and Amanda were both in the studio briefly on a podcast. But
so not technically your first time on the podcast, but the first time as a featured guest on the podcast, and also just your first time.
Yes, you are a virgin, really. We're taking your cherry for podcasting. This is Mr. John Reinsvold. How's it going, Johnny?
Thanks. I feel a little molested now. I didn't know I was actually on a podcast.
You are on?
No, the first time I came in. It was
What?
Yeah.
So when you sat down and I put headphones on you and put a microphone in front of you, you just thought that was how I communicate in general?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I thought it was a little odd.
Okay.
But, I thought
Fair.
maybe just needed documentation of all of your comings and goings.
I do record a lot of conversations for legal purposes, so that is fair.
So for those listeners that do not know, Mr. John Reinsvold, I've known John since 2006. John, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah.
What is it you do?
What is it I do? Well, that's a pretty open-ended question.
Yeah.
I'm your typical 43-year-old suburban male with family and children. I typically like to go out and golf, hang out with my friends, long walks on the beach, etc.
Yeah. That might come up. That might be important later on in the podcast. One of those things. Because this is a podcast about children and birthing, so we will be talking about that at length later on.
Yeah, you don't want to know about me. This,
I do.
Actually, it's an entire podcast about civil engineering.
Oh, nice.
It is.
All right, where do we start? Transportation, geotechnical. What are we doing?
John, as we like to say, is the village idiot of Wellington, which is my favorite joke. It never gets old to me. John's probably pretty tired of it by this point. But,
No, I used it the other day actually.
I remember one time I was sitting on the sidewalk waiting for my car service to be done at Coral Springs Toyota. And I called you, and you're like, where are you? I was like, I'm sitting there, and you're like, oh, I designed the grade of that parking lot.
That's Coral Springs Honda.
Coral Springs Honda. Sorry,
Right.
not Toyota.
Wow.
So now you know. I was like, wow.
Well, you passed your first test, John.
So I don't know where to go from there.
I drew some plans up.
I do. Well,
for Coral Springs Honda.
Well, John has long complained about not being on the podcast, and then every time I ask him to be on the podcast, he goes, I don't know what the hell I would talk about. We found a topic for him, but I do, before we get into that, I do kind of want to get to know John a little bit. And we don't talk a lot about kind of pop culture stuff together necessarily, but I'm kind of curious from your upbringing.
John knows better.
It's true. I am curious, like when you were growing up, were like movies and TV a big part of your life? Were you more of a movie guy, more of a TV guy? Did you have kind of favorites and things like that growing up?
I was more of a TV guy. I didn't make it to the movies very often. Movies were a luxury for the middle class that I wasn't privy to.
What kind of TV did you grow up on? Did you have favorite shit?
Yeah, the normal stuff. Saturday morning, Saved by the Bell, Boy Meets World. Any movies that I watched was whatever was on TBS on replay.
Oh, so you watched a lot of like edited for content movies?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, there wasn't very not too many original features in the Reinsvold residence. Not that we were poor or anything like that. We just didn't get too many movies.
That's never been a thing. Like, have there been like any kind of movies or things that you've like wanted to show your kid as like a rite of passage of like, oh, this is like an important thing for them to see? You're just not really interested in that part of imparting that kind of stuff on him.
I would like to say yes, because of the podcast I'm on, but no,
It's fine if you're not.
really.
I mean, I remember you hadn't seen
Although
Ghostbusters?
Hold on, we'll go backwards
Okay,
in
yeah,
time
yeah.
here. My son showed some interest in airplanes not too long ago, so I thought it'd be good to show him the movie Airplane.
That's so backwards, but that is amazing.
But I said, you know what? I mean, it's a comedy and it's hilarious, and
I mean, Liam already sees a grown man naked all the time.
I cannot imagine
men in
Liam.
Turkish prisons.
I cannot imagine Liam responding favorably to that movie.
He actually did, believe it or
Really?
not. Yeah. He makes references to
That's hysterical.
and all that. Yeah.
I was curious how that would age for this generation that just run. I mean, it's kind of funny. Like, I wonder if things like Airplane, like those fast quip things, actually play better to kids because they're used to shit like dad jokes and they're used to just watching like clip after clip. Like, they don't watch complete things, so they don't care about plot or a movie kind of flowing. They probably just like the jokes.
It might be one of the only movies he's watched front to back without getting up and leaving.
Interesting.
Yeah, so
I remember at one point he went through a Ghostbusters phase.
he did. Yeah, he was into Ghostbusters for a little while there, and that was mainly because I'd never seen it. So I said, yeah, maybe I should just watch this one day, and I showed it to my 3-year-old.
Which is also wild that you made
love
it to what, 40 years old before you saw Ghostbusters?
Well, that would be 2017, I guess, if he was 3. So that would have made me about 36.
Wow. That's wild to have somehow dodged that movie for so many years.
And you know, a lot of my friends, not something I would hold against them, and for some reason, John Reinsvold exists outside of like the time and space spectrum where I care about like popular media. And John's just like, no, John's just John. Like, I'm not forcing anything on John. I'm not making John watch anything.
I think also...
Well, hold on. This is not true, Ben. We went to go... you didn't force me, I'll give you that. But we did on a random Wednesday at 3:00. During my college years, you had already graduated. You took me to see a movie about a tree. And
did you take him to Tree of Life?
No, we saw The Fountain.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Why? You took
it was terrible. I mean, it was not my cup of tea. Let's put it that way. And,
no. Oh, no.
I could see how it was. You know, people would like it, but and Ben was just, you know, he was puking rainbows while he was watching it. But
that's not just like like a John might not like that movie. That is a polarizingly very polarizing movie. Wow. So
can you explain polarizing? As in
it's a very artsy movie. So
some people love it, some people hate it.
Oh, okay.
And you're going to lose half the audience for the art side of it. And then even the ones who are into artsy movies maybe aren't going to be on board with whatever the symbolism and meaning is behind it. And it might come across as pretentious or indulgent or too long or whatever.
Wasn't it in subtitles too?
Yeah, parts that were.
Yeah, I thought so.
The parts that were all ancient Mayan civilization were all in subtitles.
But I'll tell you this: at the end of the movie, he looks over at me. He goes, "Is your mind fucked?"
I had assumed like after you watched it, it would have been more like something like this.
Oh, wow. A nice old fashioned.
And maybe you guys just had like a nice time at the movie theater. Got a little old fashioned on there. Yeah.
I've forgotten about that.
That's so funny. I almost can't think of a worse movie to take John to than The Fountain.
I'm sure I was going to go see the movie. And,
No. This wasn't like Ben going like, "Hey, I really think you should go see this movie." This was me calling Ben, going like,
what
are you up to? He's like,
Gotcha.
"Well, I'm going to a movie if you want to go." And I go, "Yeah, sure, I'll go to a movie." And that was the movie.
See, I know my audience, so when John has called me up on those moments, I invite John over and we have a light beer and we watch roller coaster videos on YouTube and pretend we're riding the rides, and we do that for like 2 hours in the afternoon instead of a movie.
It was the best day of my life.
It's one of my favorite afternoons.
Actually had one of the best. Well, fuck it. I wouldn't even say it's the best man date I've ever had. I think it's the best date I've ever had.
We were on a cruise, a bachelor party cruise, with for Timmy. In fact, I had this pulled up because Paul was going to be here tonight, but Timmy has left us 2 reviews for the podcast, which I had pulled up here. This was one.
Godspell.
Peace.
Worse.
God damn it.
And I used to listen to some of this shit, and it was like so bad. Even being here.
All right.
So bad. I love you guys.
And then
what was that?
He's just
I was
talking
Timmy,
about.
but what
He was
was
just
We're
hammered.
talking about how he's
Oh, he's just
hammered,
hammered?
and then this is also Timmy.
You know, it
Don't
sounds
look at it.
exactly
Eat it.
like the rest of them, just a bunch of fucking assholes sitting around talking about movies that nobody
Okay,
knows.
that's enough. All right, and the podcast.
Hold on a second. It's just, Timmy would just show up, and he wouldn't want to be in the podcast. He'd just sit drunk in the corner and be like, "Fucking sucks. You guys are just a bunch of fucking assholes." It's so stupid.
Wow.
No, so we were on Timmy's bachelor party cruise. We had gotten maybe a little fed up with the other people on the cruise and socializing with them.
That's putting it pretty politely. Yeah,
So
yeah, I
we,
like that.
we literally would go to the opposite
Let's go
side.
get drunk and do a line.
That's exactly sweet.
Like, I don't want to.
And I was like, I can't do this more. And John goes, I know exactly where to go. So John takes me to the other end of the ship. And John had found when all the shift changes were happening at each of the bars. So there would be no like customers there. It would just be like employees sitting around drinking. And he's like, here we go. And so we hit the one bar and he's like, okay, people are starting to come to this one. Let's hit the next bar. And we just made our way around quietly around the ship and just sat and talked for like 3 hours about life and all kinds of things. And we ended with an old fashioned at the old fashioned bar. It was
That's
wonderful.
true. Yeah.
That was so good.
Yeah.
One
Leave
of my
it
favorites.
to me to introvert my way
What-
around a cruise.
What'd you guys have for dinner on your date night?
We didn't. It was just
We
drinking, yeah.
this was an
no,
after
but we
dinner.
did before. We did go out to the.
That's the only time I ate in the dining hall,
dining
the
hall,
main
yeah.
dining hall. But that's where I decided I couldn't be around them anymore because that was the only time I had meal with like almost everybody.
Well, we had a meal with with Mike.
Yes.
And it got a little political, and
I was like, I gotta get out of here. I gotta get.
One of my favorite moments ever on a cruise was on John Reinsvold's bachelor party cruise, where it was the last morning, and we got up, and you remember we just sat down at breakfast. John and I sat across from each other at breakfast and sat there for an hour and a half, and not a single word was spoken between us.
just eating scrambled eggs,
Just eating scrambled,
and hash browns,
just moving food around on a
Yeah.
plate.
I don't think I was even eating it.
Yeah.
And he didn't even tell me he was there. I went to get breakfast too, and I saw him sitting there, so I just sat across from him, and he looks up and he goes, "Hey," and I'm like,
And we just nod, and then we just sat there in quiet contemplation for an hour and a half. No words needed to be spoken.
But you have to remember that this is the same cruise that at one point we lost Ben and found him in a piano bar playing the piano while the piano man was sitting on the couch or wherever in the lounge drinking with the women.
That's what Ben does.
Ben was just like getting tips. It was great.
Ben was helping a guy out. He's just helping a guy out.
Huh?
Come on now. That's what's beautiful about Ben.
We walk into this. We're looking like, yeah, where this guy? I haven't seen him in hours or days. It seemed. And we walk into this random piano bar or whatever, and there's Ben, just like the featured showman. He's got it like a thing on the door that says, featuring Ben Wilson.
You'd already gotten a nameplate.
Yeah, exactly. There's nameplate. How the fuck did this happen? It's great.
And the guy was like, "I'm going on break." I was like, "I got this covered for an hour."
I got you, bro.
That is fantastic. I love it. The only other question I had on here, because you don't have an affinity for movies, so I was like, you got to have a favorite porno. Like, what's your favorite porno?
Porno or category? Like, how do you want to do this?
I love the idea of going category.
No, I can tell you my favorite porno. Actually, it's like the first one I ever downloaded off of
LimeWire.
No, it was Kazaa.
Wow.
And I bet you'll remember this one. It was outdoor, right? The guy was kind of jacked, and he had like an Omega tattoo on his left shoulder or right shoulder.
Okay.
I mean, that's all I remember.
It's a lot of detail.
That was a lot of...
And it's all about the guy.
Yeah, I know. No, there was no girl.
It's just a dude jacking off.
Just some guy outside with a Omega tattoo jacking off. And we all remember this one.
That's great.
And that guy, Paul Mamolino.
No, do you remember? Do you remember back in the LimeWire, Kazaa, whatever day, trying to download whatever you're trying to download and just kind of seeing like the picture frame by frame.
Going down a photo.
Yeah, download
rough.
a photo, and then you just like, oh, I think I see a nipple.
Yeah,
maybe, not sure.
This was this is pre LimeWire and Kazaa. I would say, like, I don't even know. It was somewhere off of AOL. I'm sure this is 90s. Like, this is maybe 96, 97. So
you have to remember, I live with Luke Stevens, so he had an entire
library,
videotape library.
Yeah, VHSs.
VHSs.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
We stole some videos. I think a friend of ours found like his dad's like bag, like his gym bag had a bunch of videos in it. And we're like, oh, pay dirt. But I do remember downloading just pictures, still photos off of online, and it would take you 2.5 minutes to download one image. Like, it was ridiculous.
So can I fess up to something that's kind of very strange and kind of funny?
Okay.
So we had a Gateway 2000 PC, right?
Yeah.
And so I had a limited amount of memory on it. So I remember I can only have like 1 or 2 games installed. Like if I was going to play StarCraft or Command & Conquer, one of those games, I only have 1 installed at a time because it was used for, my family using it for other stuff. So I don't remember how this happened. But I went into the program files, and I saw this random ass folder. And there was a bunch of fucking.
Did it say tax stuff?
There were a bunch of photos and some pictures in there. Let's just put it that way.
Yes.
So at some point, I'm like going through all of this. I'm looking
cataloging them.
I'm cataloging that for future use. Yeah. And I somehow I think like left the folder or the file open. And my stepfather, my mom's husband at the time, then later confronted me.
No.
And was like, listen, I understand that, you're downloading this stuff. I did not download shit. This was shit that was on the computer.
Yeah.
So, was my stepfather a lying asshole?
Yes.
Absolutely.
That had downloaded all this
Yes.
stuff. And then confronted me about it because it was open.
To absolve himself of the blame. Because he's like.
Is that what happened?
Yeah, because he's thinking maybe you're going to tell your mom about it.
Or did whoever, because somebody came to our house to set up our computer, did that person...
No. That would take forever. Back then it would take so long to do that.
You were on dial-up and all that.
You're playing with fire to do that. You got to have a death wish. No, you caught his folder.
Unless it came preloaded. That's the only way. If it came preloaded,
if you bought a used computer,
your stepdad's he's a cock.
He was worried that you were going to rat him out to your mom.
Yeah.
And
Wait,
so he
it
blamed it on you.
Downloaded photos, or was it your mom?
Stop, John.
Well, now it makes a lot more sense.
Abort. Stop. Everyone just stop, please. Oh, no. This sounds so bad. No. I don't like this at all. I'll be
so nervous.
I'll be honest. I was legit waiting. Like, 'cause you were like, this is gonna be a weird thing. I'm like, oh, please, God, tell me this is not a folder. If you saw it, like, your parents' porno shit.
No,
I can't deal with that. I can't handle
They
that.
were random fucking porno. It was like the first pornographic images I ever saw. Like explicit. Very explicit. Pornographic images.
I feel bad that it was your mom that you saw the first.
What's funny though is the first ones I saw were Ben's mom. Also.
Yeah, I saw those pictures as well.
Yeah, they were on Kazaa. It was like Chattanooga housewife gone wild.
Listen, it's a little hard to tell when it's from behind.
Oh no, so wrong. Wonderful. So we're gonna get into our topic here. I've kind of a game to lead into our topic, but before I do this makes me laugh. So John, I think about this clip constantly, and it has absolutely nothing to do with you, but it just reminds me of you, and it ties into our topic for the podcast, which is going to be golf. I've just put golf. It's not even necessarily golf movies or TV, but we're going to discuss a lot of things about golf today. We are missing our resident golf addict, Paul, unfortunately, who's sick. So you guys are going to have to really handle a lot of this. Boo. But there's a clip from The Tonight Show, and it is John Hamm, who plays a fair amount of golf. But one of the people he golfs with is Ray Romano. And he does an impersonation of golfing with Ray Romano that to me is golfing with John 100%. So I have to play this.
You know, I've heard
that
John
like,
Hamm looks a little bit like Paul.
He does. If I'd had both of you here, I was going to have you guys recreate this entire scene, but we don't have him.
I've heard that I look like Ray Romano.
You sound more like Ray Romano than you look like Ray Romano.
I was kidding. I just made that up.
But you got to listen to this because it's amazing.
Here's my impression of Ray Romano playing golf.
Ready?
Oh. Do it again.
Yeah.
Do it again. Yeah. One more. Come on. Be right.
Be right is the one. It is the most John to me. I'm like, be right. But that always makes me think of you. So we are going to talk about golf and golf in pop culture.
I was going to say, you know who actually is a really, really good golfer? Is Jason Bateman.
Yes, the Smartless guys talk about golf all the time on their podcast.
Arnett always caddies for him in all the programs.
Oh no shit.
Yeah.
They have a lot of famous golf.
Is Bateman?
Bateman's a 2.
He's like my favorite actor, Jason Bateman. Because he's very even keeled and just mellow and matter of fact. He kind of plays Jason Bateman in every character.
For the most part.
But it's I like his style.
Except for Smoking Aces.
Yes.
I haven't seen that.
And Dodgeball. He does play against type in Dodgeball just a little bit, which is always.
But that just made my love for him even more.
He's a big golfer.
He's a 2.
Like a +2?
Yeah, +2.
Really?
Well, when it's funny is they taught like it was kind of.
Well, you have that much time on your hands, I guess you can.
No, what's funny is it is very much kind of like your group here in that. So he was not really a golfer. Arnett was the one that was a golfer. He got Bateman into it, and then Bateman just became obsessed. So kind of like, hey, Paul, come out golfing. And then Paul becomes like, that's his entire identity now.
It's his new identity.
And that's all he does. That's Bateman. Like Bateman now just lives, eats, and breathes golf and nothing but it. And then you get good if that's all.
Well, I love, first of all, that I'm actually playing golf again. That was a big part of my life that was missing for a long time. But the fact that I'm able to go out with some really good friends at least once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks it's been really good. It's been really good for my psyche. It's been good for, just getting out and enjoying everyone and all that kind of stuff.
Have either of you ever hit a hole in one?
I haven't.
Nope.
No. Do you think in your lifetime you'll get there?
I think so.
We'll see.
That was a question from my friend JB. I was telling her about this. Her dad, I believe she said he was 70 something when he hit his first hole in one.
Wow.
And it was like, that was his, he's like, oh, I did it. Like, that's the thing. I'm probably wrong on the age. She's probably listening. But yeah, I'm kind of curious. Has Paul hit a hole in one?
Not that I know.
I don't think so.
Timmy has.
Tim's not hit 2.
2, yeah.
2? Good Lord. Mm-hmm. Is he like a...
To be fair, one was on number 1 at the Palm Beach Par 3, which is literally...
60 yards. Yeah,
60 yards.
It's a chip. It's a chip, yeah.
Right, but you guys haven't done it.
No.
No, but what I have...
I've pulled out from 130.
I've pulled out from the fairway.
Yeah, I pulled out from 130.
And for our listeners, what does hold out mean? Because that sounds like what Ben saw in that porn with his mom.
It means when you're hitting on your approach shot from the fairway, that you hit it into the hole.
Yes.
So your second shot or whatever.
Your second or third shot. Yeah. In Ben's case, like 5th or 6th shot.
Yeah.
Now what is your longest?
I hold out from 130 for triple bogey.
What's your longest drive?
Mine? I don't know, maybe 270, 280.
Benny?
When I was in high school, I used to absolutely crank it. I can't hit past 260 now.
I've seen Ben hit it 270 to 280, and I totally believe that he used to hit it much further.
I was gonna say it seems to me that you probably top 300 at some point.
Well, yeah, he's got a big arc on his swing, got long arms, lots of leverage.
I mean, I was young and dumb and full of muscle and cum. I can probably get that swing speed up well over 100, 120.
Yeah.
Wow. It is funny. There is a movie. I had looked this up as part of my research, but there's a movie called The Sweetest Thing with Jason Bateman and Thomas Jane in it. and there's a thing where they're golfing, and you don't see what the payoff is. They're keeping score of some kind, and it turns out they're just playing to hit the ball return guy in the cart and see how many times they can hit,
I remember that
hit the cart, which is fantastic. So
We play that game at the range all the time.
I'm gonna give you guys a little game here, and to see how good this. Now this is gonna be tough, and Ben, you're gonna have to pick up a little bit on this one here. But
Gotcha.
I'm going to have you guys guess what I've compiled as the top 10 fictional golfers of all time. I'm going to say by skill. Now, you don't have to get them in any order, but I have a list of 10 people here. And I have a list of outside that 10 that I'll give you to see if you guys can get to the 10 or not. But I will kind of go back and forth. So, John, if you were looking at a fictional golfer that you wanted to play on your foursome, who do you think you would pick, number one?
A fictional golfer
Yes.
to play in my foursome? Easy. That'd be Happy Gilmore. I mean,
There you go.
that'd be the most fun.
That was number 2 on my list.
Yeah.
So we've got that. Benny?
It's gotta be Ray, man. It's gotta be Tin Cup.
That's number 4 on my list. Roy McAvoy, Tin Cup.
Roy McAvoy.
Gotta go with the Costner on that one. John?
I think my second fictional.
Yes. You can't just pick Paul Mammalino and over and over.
I'm trying to think. So, I mean, I'm stuck between two. So it would be Shooter McGavin.
Okay, let's do
I'll just
that
go
one.
Shooter
We'll say
McGavin,
Shooter
yeah.
McGavin. All right, so we got that. Well, and we're gonna kind of make these. These will be your teams. We'll see who we do the best of. So I'm gonna put that's gonna be that's John, and that's Ben. All right, Ben, who you got next?
Who's Ty Webb?
Ty Webb. That's that was my number 1. That's Chevy Chase in
Chevy Chase in Caddyshack.
in Caddyshack. That's I think that is that the best golfer. Is that the best fictional golfer? Is he the best fictional golfer? Do you think? I don't know.
No.
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 Okay.
No, he was just a club player. I wouldn't say he's.
No, he was good. No.
He was good, but he wasn't. He was no Roy McAvoy.
Yeah.
All right, who you got next, Johnny? Guys are doing good.
So I don't remember his name, but the guy from is Matt. He played by Matt Damon.
So it's on my list. The movie is Bagger Vance. I was gonna this is a bonus point for you, Ben. Can you name his character's name? In that?
Hold on. Juna.
What's his first name? It's fucking wild.
Captain Juna?
Ranulph Juna is his name in that movie.
Captain Ranulph Juna.
Holy shit. I was compiling this list and I'm like, I never had ever remembered seeing that name at all. Although we did, Casey, who's probably listening, will appreciate, we went up for this business fraternity, like it was like a prom type thing they did up near Hilton Head. And the place that they were hosting it at was where they shot Bagger Vance. And we missed them, I think, by like a week. They had all these like signs in the lobby of like, look out for Charlize Theron and Matt Damon and Will Smith.
Jekyll Island.
Yeah, Jekyll Island. That's correct. It's right where it was.
Jekyll Island.
All right, John.
I think I saw that same sign right after I came out of watching another real absolutely terrible movie with Nicolas Cage, where he was riding a motorcycle and
Ghost Rider.
Ghost Rider, yeah.
Oh wow. Holy cow.
I think. I'm pretty sure I walked out and saw that. That was a terrible movie.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right. Who's next on your golf list, John?
I think Ben's up, isn't he?
He
just named the person that I.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're up, Benny.
What's the name of Happy's coach?
Chubbs Peterson.
McGee? Even without his hand?
Yeah.
With or without his hand?
I'm gonna say with we'll give him his hand. We'll give him the hand for this one.
Give him the hand.
All right. So we're down to the last 4. You guys are done great. You've got 6 out of 10 so far. All right, John, this is where it's getting hard. This is the
Roy McAvoy's villain.
Ooh, do you know his name?
No.
Do you know who plays him?
David?
Yeah, that's right.
Is it David? Yeah.
David Sims.
David Sims, okay.
The great Don Johnson. He's on there. That was
Don
number
Johnson,
6.
that's right.
Mm-hmm. All right, that's John. All right, we're down to our last 3, Benny.
and they have to be fictional, obviously, because
you can't just pick actual golfers,
right? Well, a lot of them stuff.
And you can't pick
about.
you could pick Bob Barker from Happy Gilmore. I would allow that, but no.
I'm trying to think of who else.
There's a one ringer on here that's going to be very difficult. I will tell you all. It is from it's someone from a famous sitcom.
No, I'm lost.
I will say the other two are from a movie we've brought up already on here, and you've already named a character from that movie.
From Caddyshack?
Yes.
Is Rodney Dangerfield?
Yes. Yeah, I put Al on there.
Okay.
Put Al. And John, you want to guess the other one from Caddyshack? Could be one of two.
I mean,
I'll accept either.
The kid that
I was gonna say I'd say Danny or the judge or come on, we're waiting. Yeah, come on.
Well, I mean the main caddy, the main character caddy.
Yeah, Danny Noonan. That one works for me. So
Danny works. Yeah.
So the final one that's gonna be the hard one is so famous sitcom.
Is it Ray Romano? Is that
no, it's not Ray Romano. It is in one episode. There is a joke with a golf ball and a whale.
Oh, this is Seinfeld. So
that's right. Cosmo Kramer. I put that as my number 3 on there because he got a hole in one. So you guys did it. Your teams are, let's see here. John, which one did you? Ben, that was Ben. All right. So John's team of 5 is Happy Gilmore, Cosmo Kramer, Matt Damon from Bagger Vance, Don Johnson in Tin Cup, and Shooter McGavin.
Right, you have the villains.
Yeah, he really did go for all. I think Ben, you were kind of getting the ones on the top there, and then you got Ty Webb, Roy McAvoy, Chubbs, Rodney Dangerfield, and I think you have one. The Danny Noonan from Caddyshack. So I think
it's the good guys versus the bad guys.
Yeah, it really is. It kind of lined up that way. Do you think the good guys are going to win? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't think so. I think the bad guys
Sims
they
is
align
probably the best
together.
golfer, and
Yeah. And I had other ones on here that I would have accepted that were outside of it, like DORF on golf.
Tim Conway.
I had Tim Conway.
How did we forget about Tim Conway? Did you ever own any of the DORF on golf videos?
No. My favorite things of all time.
Oh, man,
it was Tim Conway on his knees. And John, you of all people should have loved
this.
That's
not fictional.
He was playing a little person. Well, yes, he's not real. What do you mean not fictional?
I thought these are instructional videos you're talking about.
They were fake. They were fake instructional videos.
That was fantastic.
What would you call a little person?
A little person. That's where we're going with it. The DORF on golf. I thought that would be your first one, but no.
My grandfather loved the DORF on golf videos so much.
They were fantastic, fantastic jokey things. I also had Donald McDuck, which is Scrooge McDuck's nephew that invented golf, supposedly. So it would be the best one. And then my 2 ringers on it were Ron Livingston from Swingers and Paul Giamatti from Sideways. But we'll get to those in just a minute as we get into our team.
Oh, sure. No, I have my whole list of scenes.
Yeah.
Golf scenes.
Same.
In movies.
So, yeah, Ben, why don't you kick us off? So you guys obviously love golf quite a bit. Well, actually, before we get into the movie stuff, what is it that you find so satisfying about the game of golf?
Well, I think it's the hardest sport. It's just singularly frustrating and singularly entertaining, with a level of satisfaction that's hard to quantify when you compare it to other sports.
Okay,
let's put it that way.
And it's somewhat accessible, right? Even though it is very difficult.
Sure,
it is
if you're a
something
suburban white male with medium income, medium to upper income, it's highly accessible.
I mean, there's cheap places to golf too. It's not the best places, but you can, if you want to go hit the ball, you can. Sure. It's not.
Yeah, you can. There's definitely lots of accessibility to golf these days. It's that's an old country club joke, I guess.
I know. Do you feel that you're?
I think one of the reasons why golf is an enduring thing is because you can play it for a really long time. Many people play golf into their 80s. Or in the 90s in some cases.
I thought you meant just the length of like actually going out. That's always been my theory, is that more married men play golf because it's 4 hours that you're unreachable.
That's
for,
actually,
for lack of a better
you
word.
know, to me, that's more of a pain in the ass. Is the 4 hours away?
Yeah, me too.
You know,
That's why I like walking the family force with John, because we'll do it in an hour and a half.
Right, it's quick. You get in and out. You know, like. Like
and see, I like that. I to me, my attention span is very poor. So actually sitting out there for 3 or 4 hours is just like I don't have the bandwidth,
the stamina.
No, I can't do it. But do you guys feel that your game is getting better as you age?
That's great.
Apparently not.
That's great. No, we're fighting Father Time. That's for sure. Personally, I took a lot of time off. Because of perceived body issues that whatever. Anyway, I didn't play for a while, but then when I tried to play again,
he didn't like the way his ass looked in those shorts.
It was body dysmorphia. I didn't like the way my calves looked on my.
So once they removed all the mirrors from the course, you were like, yeah, we're good to go. We're great. It's wonderful. I understand the idea of going out to play golf. Where I'm lost completely, that I'll never understand, is young people watching golf on television. And I know you guys love it, but that to me was like my grandmother. Like my grandmother would sit and watch golf for 8 hours on TV, and I'm just like, I don't have the. I could watch golf highlights for like 10 minutes, but like watching an actual like full tournament is, I don't know. I can't do it.
Well, to me, it's such a tactical game that you can and it can turn around, believe it or not. I know it seems slow, but it can turn around real quick on a player. Like, you know, a player could be up 3-4 strokes, but he's just one disaster, one bad swing away from losing that entire lead. And then another guy kind of taking him over.
I get that, but it's like, even when you're watching golf, you're not watching all. I mean, they're still like showing you where the action stuff is happening. I don't know. It seems like it is. There's so much, and maybe it's just the calmness also of it, that it's so like non-celebratory and like it's quiet and we're watching this going here and he's going to do this thing. And I'm just
that's one of the that's I guess that's, I mean, if we get into a whole nother discussion, that's one of the topics that are one of the hot topics out there in the golf world right now, between the PGA Tour and the new tour, which is Live.
That's where they have Middle East stuff.
The Saudi-backed tour, where their product is very noisy and very, you know, party atmosphere. Like there's none of this, you know, quiet, and he's lighting up for his part now, and the whole crowd is just kind of sitting there. Like, people are encouraged to make noise.
Yeah,
they're encouraged to party and be there and all that kind of stuff. Everybody starts at the same time. It's just a completely different atmosphere, a completely different feel for golf, and that's kind of the way they're trying to put out the product. And there's, quite honestly, a lot of that's brought in a whole new wave of like golf bros. Yeah, which not for nothing. I don't love.
Not great.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of it. You know.
Do you?
We already had enough golf pros. There's already a waste.
Yeah,
management.
we got enough.
There was already a waste management open.
Do you feel like it when you're golfing? Do you feel that idea of having like someone cheering or making noise is like you can't golf with that?
I could barely golf when somebody's filming me.
Really?
Yeah, it's so we like to video each other, and we try to kind of do it discreetly so we don't bother each other. But if I know I'm being filmed, it's like, fuck all.
They do it just to make fun of me.
Well, we're putting together a supercut. I mean, it's not done yet.
Again, that's the only way I'm going on this on the bachelor party for Paul, is if I can video all of you, and it's gonna be great. A lot of commentary as well.
It's only in fairness, it's only Ben's reactions, because they're, can I do a Ben?
Absolutely.
Hold on.
Oh wow.
Sorry. Yeah, that was
that
Ben.
Ben.
That was
okay.
That was Ben.
That was not me.
It sounded just like him.
Fuck. I'll do another one. God damn it.
Sounds
about right. I've only gone out a couple times.
And then when he hits a good one, it's silence. But what you don't see in the little theater of the mind here is him holding the pose, looking at the shot as it goes down the fairway, and then he walks away from it with the most serious look. The strut back, the strut, and then you see his dong just dragging on. It's just dragging on the grass on the way back to the cart. It's amazing.
It's a proverbial dong.
No. It is your. It's
No, this is actual dong. I've seen it.
It makes an appearance when you hit that ball just right. It's like it wants to bask in the glory because it knows it was behind it. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So golf.
Only time I make good contact is when I actually hit it with my cock.
That's why he's quiet because it hurts. He's got to be like kind of gain his composure on that.
Yeah. You're 60-degree cock wedge.
What club do you think I should use? My dick again. Yep. That's
It's
about
a
right.
69.
It's a 69, of course. My bad.
It's why his short game is so bad because his dick's so long. It doesn't work. That's a terrible joke.
No, actually, that works for golf because you don't want a long club when you're around the greens because you don't have as much control over it.
That's the Ben Wilson
It's all
story.
about it's all about having a stiff shaft
So
and control over that.
I think it is interesting when we get into this here of golf in pop culture is that there are fewer, I would say, golf movies and TV shows and things like that than there are football or especially baseball. Basketball is probably closer to golf, but I would say golf is still one of the most visible sports in movies in that it really owns some movies big time, bigger than any other sport in movies. If that makes any sense.
I would say on the inverse side, though, there are fewer golf movies than there are more hockey movies than there are golf movies.
Yes, that's what I was saying. But the ones that are loud. Like they are big players.
Or there are fun scenes that play on the golf tropes within the context of a bigger movie. And the golf scenes that mean they end up running away with some of the funniest jokes.
Yeah, well, and it's because you also, I think that's part of where I was saying it is a very accessible game. So you can have regular people in a movie golfing. You're not going to you can have them shooting hoops a little bit, but they're not playing baseball and they're not playing like an actual sport version of where you can actually have people do that in movies. And and it's also a place that's known for like making business deals and these things. So you can always go out and have a bunch of rich people that are talking about, green lighting a movie or buying a property, whatever it is, and they're having these business deals on the golf course. So it's a great location to shoot something because it's got a beautiful background, and you have people doing something to take off, to take the mind off the bad dialogue that's probably happening in the background. And I'll say, like, there are movies that do this. There's one that I always remember forever. It's so funny because I remember going to see it with some friends that did golf, and they think this is the worst golf swing captured on camera. And I'm curious, Ben, if there's a movie that pops to your mind of the worst actor trying to look like they're golfing on screen. Do you have someone that you think is like really terrible?
Worst golfer trying to
someone playing golf on screen and it's the worst swing you've ever seen in your life, but they're supposed to probably be like an okay golfer.
I don't know. What are you thinking of?
The Thomas Crown Affair, Pierce Brosnan's swing there's a scene where he is playing golf in it, and it is universally the worst golf swing that anyone's ever seen.
Can you pull it up?
No one will be able to hear it. I wonder if it's actually on here. I did have something I was going to pull up for you guys, but let me see. Let's try.
Wow. No, I mean,
I've got a couple that I know. Like
I might have it here. Hold on. You guys will be able to hear the sound, but no one else.
Well, and the thing is this is a not a visual podcast.
No, it's not. We'll keep talking while this is happening because they can't hear this either. But I want to say he's gonna take a swing here that's really, really awful. But
let's make it interesting, shall we?
Okay, yeah, they tell.
So there's a guy. He's in the sand right now. For those of you that can't see this, and he's going to get himself out of a really difficult shot in the sand.
Actually, let's do the gym next.
Oh, it's so terrible. Oh my god.
I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, not a great visual.
That right elbow popped up terribly, and he was bobbing his head up and down. A terrible swing.
Hi friends. We're watching Pierce Brosnan play on.
Hello.
I had pulled up something, by the way, that it won't translate for the podcast. I couldn't make it work. We can look at it afterwards. But I found these guys had this great conspiracy theory about Tiger in one of his Masters where a ball goes behind a bush mysteriously, and literally there's a 6-second pause where the ball is not visible at all, and then all of a sudden the ball just comes flying out of the bush, and it's very clearly a guy has run behind it and picked it up and threw it to give him a better placement on there. Not to take anything away from Tiger, but it is a really funny clip because there's a guy, you can very clearly see this guy in a white hat.
Do you have that? I've never seen that.
I do have it. Well, I'll show it after the.
Yeah.
Well, actually, you know what? I can't do the audio for this if you want to do it.
Yeah, do it.
Hold on, I can make the audio for the folks here. Hold on.
Hello, friends. This is
Hello,
Jim Nance
friends.
here.
This is. Let me take this down. Hold on 1 second. It takes a little work here. All right, let's try.
This is one of the great conspiracies in golf history, and you could say the reason Tiger has 15.
Can they hear that?
Come on.
They can.
PGA Championship year 2000 playoff, Tiger Woods versus Bob May. So they go into a playoff. It's a 3-hole playoff, aggregate score. On the first hole, Tiger makes the famous birdie putt, walks it in.
Yep.
Gets a 1-stroke
Does
lead.
the
The
pointing,
third hole, Tiger's up 1 on the 18th green. He's going to hit his drive. The ball's going to disappear, and it's going to come flying out of where the fans are standing. Check this out. Watch the amount of time that goes by between where you
Ball
lose the
goes behind this bush.
right?
This guy in the white hat.
Still nothing. Still nothing.
Nothing.
Still nothing.
Nothing.
Still nothing.
The guy just throws the ball out.
Oh,
And then
dude.
No.
That guy in the
No,
white
it's not.
hat
No,
just
replay
dropped-
that.
100%.
Replay that.
They're gonna play it again. They're gonna play it
Burying
again.
files. Right.
You got to start the timer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
That guy's first on the
6,
scene, too.
Oh yeah.
7.
Dude,
Look at that.
he bought that ball in the pro shop before
Oh,
the
that's,
round.
that's fucking great.
So now this is a par 5.
It was one of those where
Yeah.
I was not ready to believe the thing, but then I watched the guy.
I hope that guy got. He probably kicked it. It looks more like he kicked
It
it.
might have.
Yeah.
What's even funnier is they go, but that guy then he's now number 1 in the scene for the next shot to watch him actually get in and make the 2-shot in. So he's like part of Tiger's crew.
Nice.
But kind of amazing stuff. So
Well, that's been a notorious thing for Tiger Woods his whole career. He's had like bumpers along the fairways. Whenever he hits a crowd, he's notoriously got very good lies, and it's not. There's no secret that somebody kicked the ball or picked it up or did something. I mean, you have that many people around. You can't.
Do you think that's happening with a lot of golfers though?
I think it's. I've personally witnessed it at a golf course or at a PGA event, but nothing like when Tiger's playing. I mean, when he's playing, when you follow him, it's insane. It's like you and a couple other 1,000 people are watching one man play, which is something you'll never see again.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Which, ironically, I was going to talk about golf and popular culture. And one of the first major films was Gene Martin and the Caddy.
Yeah. So I went.
Yeah,
I did
Gene Martin and Jerry Lewis.
Yeah, there were a couple of like older golf movies I was not familiar with at all, and there was one even somewhat more recent one that I didn't know about with Randy Quaid called Dead Solid Perfect.
I've never seen that. I've heard about it before.
I don't know anything about it.
So
but
it is kind of funny that you know that the Martin Lewis combo was a comedy duo. They were a comedy duo from the 50s. Jerry Lewis and Gene Martin. That's the song "That's Amore" comes from that movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But it's actually a funny. The premise is funny. It's a pro golfer that can't play in front of a crowd, and so his caddy, he convinces his caddy to play, and he's caddying for his caddy, like
right.
Him and his caddy switch places, basically.
Right.
I like that
because his caddy's obviously a good golfer. Too.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And so that's kind of the it's a musical too.
That's your next musical.
A golf musical. Sign me up.
Yeah, for a 1953 film. I mean, it's kind of a funny premise.
That's great.
But I don't think in golf was always kind of an elitist sport.
Yes.
And because of that, it played roles in films and didn't become more of a trope in film until Caddyshack, when you can make fun of the elitist aspect of it.
Which was also, that was the 80s was about the anti-establishment shit, so that you could, you were there. You good, John?
Well, I mean,
I got to piss like a
no,
crazy.
well, no,
Go,
no,
go,
no,
pee, go
piss.
pee.
Oh.
Go pee.
Okay.
We'll keep it going.
Yes.
No, I think that is that's the fun thing about golf specifically in film is that it is almost always, with very few exceptions, it is about the blue collar versus the elites, and that's what it's used for almost every time. From Happy Gilmore to Caddyshack are big parts of it. Tin Cup a little bit less so. I
No,
would say.
no, but Tin Cup. I mean, like, that's the whole thing. Is Roy
Yeah.
is this kind of like really crass, not acceptable. Wears shorts, wears untucked t-shirts. Like he's not
the what they view as the
acceptable
Yeah.
type of person who can be on the U.S. Open
It's interesting.
or on the PGA Tour.
Yeah, and it was funny. Like, and I had also because I think it is very fascinating. Also, cause I know you had the same thing of kind of like these movies that have golf scenes in them versus golf being the main subject in it. Because I do love it. It's for a long time it was like racquetball and tennis. Those are like other sports that people put in movies to have characters be able to have like it's something they can do athletically that can still have a conversation. Like you're not talking as much during.
Right.
Baseball or football or or shoot, even like doing basketball, too much movement going on with it. But I did have it was so funny because I know there are more. I could not come up with any, but I was trying to think of movies that feature mini golf instead of golf. And the main one I could come up with, the two main ones I had were Overboard and Karate Kid.
I'm not saying Karate Kid has.
And then I went on like a deep dive and I couldn't find things. And in my head, I'm thinking there are more movies with miniature golf in it than I could come up with. But I came up empty.
I mean, that's miniature golf, though.
Yeah.
I have some really good golf scenes in
Yes.
non-golf movies.
Let's hear it.
There's a scene in Hall Pass where they're on drugs on the course,
I forgot about that one.
which I think is one of the funnier scenes. John, have you seen the movie Hall Pass?
Yes.
You remember the scene where they're on drugs on the course? Where he's like, what kind of soap do you use? He's like, Dove? He's like, I like Dove. Dove's nice. Whatever. And then the ranger pulls up. He's like, guys, you have to do something about your friends. And the guy's making a sand angel in the in the bunker. And he's like, hey, get in the bunker. He's like, no, not friend. Not friend. There's a guy swimming in the lane. And that cracks me up. Obviously, Swingers is a good one.
Swingers is one of my favorites.
The locals are getting restless.
Yeah,
is the line from that one.
I love the one in oh shit, it just popped out of my head.
I have a great one though.
Yeah,
Navy SEALs, man.
Yes,
the golf scene in Navy SEALs is straight. That's pro golfing, right?
It is. They Navy SEALs watch Top Gun and they're like, all right, they did volleyball. What do we do to match that? They go, we're gonna do the volleyball scene, but with golf.
But with golf, and we're gonna have
golf pros.
We're gonna have golf pros. A bunch of Navy SEALs who are drunk off their ass, flipping fucking carts and stuff like that on the golf course, being jackasses, and that's the type of stuff that you see nowadays. Like,
yeah.
When you look at TikTok or whatever, and douches being douches.
Well, I mean,
on the golf course, and Navy SEAls came out in 1990.
Yeah.
So
They were ahead of the curve. Jackass famously has a whole sequence set on the golf course that's fantastic. The one movie scene I like a lot is the golf scene in I Love You, Man, where he's got is Paul Rudd and his fiance Rashida Jones, and then Jason Segel's like brought this girl along the course, and Rashida Jones is like a ringer.
This is my nightmare.
Yeah, like Rashida Jones is like a ringer and so good, and the other one's so bad. She's like, I'm gonna just keep trying. He's like, you can't just be sitting here. They're gonna like there are rules of this.
Pace of play.
And she's like, she's not gonna learn. She's not gonna learn if she doesn't get time to do it. You can't. He's like, but they're gonna get mad at us. So she hits one right into his shin. This is my nightmare.
This is my nightmare.
And she's like, you know what? If this is what it's gonna be like, I'm gonna leave. And his whole last part, he goes, no, don't go. Oh, don't go.
Well, and then the scene in Swinger, or not in Swingers, but in Sideways, where
my favorite,
where he's trying to coach Paul Giamatti. He's just like, keep your head down, keep swinging. And every time he goes to a backswing, it's a new swing thought. And he's just like, just shut the fuck up. Like, you know.
The reaction in Sideways when the guys are trying to play through them
and
hit the ball at them,
and
they just turn and look at them and they go, what the fuck? That's the best, maybe the best in all of cinema.
Do you remember our discussion about Sideways?
On the mat?
So, I think it was the first night I met you at Ugly Mug. You're wearing a suit.
Yeah.
The Ugly Mug.
So here's Ben coming down from Florida State. All right, wearing a suit.
Yeah, as one does.
As one does.
I had a job interview.
He had a job interview, right? And
Yeah.
I'm like, who's this asshole in a suit, right? So, at an Ugly Mug. You know,
I think the diviest
yeah.
of dive bars.
That's the diviest
We
of
started
bars.
at Brews Room. I did not have time to change. We went to Brews Room, and then we went to Ugly.
Yeah,
boy.
we started at the classy establishment, and then
Which
then,
is done. Brews Room is
gone.
no more.
No more Brews
No
Rooms.
more
Oh,
Brews Room.
so sad. Continue.
Yeah. Anyway, we were talking about something. I forgot what. He brought up Sideways. I had just recently seen the movie Sideways on an airplane trip, and I said, "Oh, what a I said airplane trip."
Yeah, you did. I was going to let it go. You got yourself on that one.
Like I caught myself.
I was going to let it slide, John. But okay.
That's one time
it's one trip on an airplane.
in
That's okay.
1917. I was on an aeroplane trip.
I got in the sky in one of them aeroplanes.
Yes, we flew in a tube.
I put my fedora and suit on, as it was the parlance of the times.
And I also like my pleasure spiked with pain.
Well, this kind of dates you too, you know, like not you, I mean just us in general.
Yeah.
Where on the airplane it was like there was I don't
One-
know,
there's
like,
one
there
movie.
was there was one movie and
Yeah.
they showed it and it was like they had like drop down screens that were like one screen every like 4 rows.
Yeah.
So like it depended on which row you're in if you had a good view of the screen, and the screen itself was 12 by 12 inches. It was
Oh, the
terrible.
dark times.
Yeah, the dark times. But anyway, I'd mentioned I saw that movie. I was like, yeah, it was fucking boring. You know, and
Ben must have tied
Ben looked
into
at me
you.
and he goes, "That's a fucking great movie." Or like he said that's one of the.
I
don't
can
know what he
see
said. It
no
was
more fighting
like,
words than that.
Like he was like, I mean, he looked at me like serious as fuck.
Yeah.
Like.
Also, you're wrong. You are objectively
and
wrong.
plus,
John.
you're wrong. I'll admit that I'm wrong now because I've seen it against not on the plane.
Yeah.
And I've watched it with a more, adult mind on it. I was like, okay, I get the
a good
premise
movie.
of this. It's a good movie. The guy's, trying to, do his thing.
Trying to do his thing.
Just trying to cheat on his fiance. What's the problem?
John's movie synopsis. That's one of the guys just trying to do his thing.
Yeah,
You know.
just trying to get his rocks off.
He's just trying to live his life, man.
He's trying to do his thing, and it goes sideways on him. And it's like, that's what they call the movie. It's called Sideways. I got it. It's good. I do think Sideways is in my like scenes of golf in movies. That is my favorite. That's my number one on there.
Well, so let's talk about actual golf movies when it comes down to it, because
No, thank you.
no, not at all.
No, obscure scenes only, sir.
I will say as I was going through golf movies on my list, number 6 was DORF on golf.
Is that a movie?
I have to show this to you afterwards, John. It is unreal that you don't know this. I'm very excited to show
Well,
it
that
to you.
goes back to my didn't have too much.
Well, this also
channels
was not.
on
This
TVs.
was straight to video. It was a comedian, and the whole
It's
gag
Tim
is
Conway.
that he is on his knees with little shoes, and he
Playing a
pretends to
little
be a little
person.
person playing golf, and he's teaching you how to play golf. That's the whole gag for it. It is not aging well, but it
No, it
was
does
back
not
in the
age
day.
well at all.
Was very very funny for a kid, especially.
Tim Conway
Conway.
passed away a few years ago.
Yeah.
Hey, did you do you feel like you guys are kind of in the similar boat, right? Like you're an only child, and Matt.
I have a brother.
I know you have a brother, but he's much older, right?
Yeah.
So you're, essentially an older child only child when it comes down to it, like your upbringing. You know, what I mean?
Okay.
It's not like you were hanging out with your bro,
No.
or anything like that, right? And you guys are really into pop culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there's a
No correlation whatsoever.
correlation there? I mean, like you're at
No.
like,
No,
you guys are being dicks. Okay.
No, no. I'm
Yeah.
so I'll be dead serious. Why I
Yeah.
mentioned my brother? My brother would rent. So he came back from school, and stayed at the house for the first like 3 years after college, and he would rent stuff from Blockbuster, and I would steal the movies that he rented and watch them. So that's how I got into like Richard
Your
Linklater.
first porn, right?
And listen, I stole his Penthouse
Wait,
Variations.
did you go to Video Bin or did you go to?
Well, I worked at Blockbuster Video in
Blockbuster.
'97.
That's just me. I'm video pen.
And Hollywood Video. No, I would go. He would rent movies, and I would go grab the movies after he'd finished watching them before he returned them. He'd like go to work for the day, And I would watch those over the summer. So I got a lot of my stuff. But I will say the biggest part of why I have a lot of pop culture knowledge is that we had cable from day one. So like as soon as cable was available in our neighborhood in Arizona, we had HBO, Cinemax, and Showtime. So I would watch, instead of watching things on TBS or whatever, I would watch those channels nonstop, and I would watch whatever was on. And that's also where I would see, like, I famously in the podcast talked about like the first tits I saw were in Bachelor Party and then in Splash. So I was like, so when I see Tom Hanks, I get a boner because like I associate him with tits. But
as
like,
one does.
As one does. But yeah, no, I very much, I think it was much more due to that and not necessarily like only child stuff. Because at that point, my brother was still in the house and we were like fighting over things, but like it wasn't like I had a lot of alone time necessarily. Like I would more latch onto the stuff he was watching or he was watching with my parents would be more often that.
So he watched a lot of night news.
He did. Well, my mom and dad would rent movies, and he was allowed to watch like older stuff because he was older, and they would just let me sit in there. So like that's how I wound up seeing Alien, on VHS when I was 6.
Oh,
yeah.
So to bring it back to golf, sorry.
Yeah, no worries. It's a therapy session.
So
Tell me, Ben, why do you want to keep bringing it back to golf? What do you think this ties into you being an only child?
Matt. Yeah, definitely. You're John. Do you know the film Bull Durham? The Ron Shelton, the baseball.
One of my favorite movies of all time.
Well, so you know that Ron Shelton, who wrote and directed Bull Durham, also wrote and directed Tin Cup.
It's the same movie.
It's the same movie. Very simple.
Of course I knew that.
But it makes sense, right? Now that you think about it, it kind of makes sense.
Sure.
I always consider that to be a remake.
Super strong lead female, Susan Sarandon, Renee Russo, in both. Definitely different. There's a different storyline, like the whole kind of love triangle aspect of Bull Durham is not really in Tin Cup. You have the fact that she used to date the other dude. But they're not really a thing.
I consider Tin Cup and Bull Durham to be the same as Top Gun and Days of Thunder. I think they're the same movie with different fonts.
Top Gun and Days of Thunder?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought, believe it or not, those are two movies that I did see when I was a kid. I was obsessed with Days of Thunder. That was one of the movies I did actually have on VHS.
Ooh. And
I was super into NASCAR, but I remember correlating those two. It's like, yeah, it's kind of the same thing. Yeah, it's like you got the lead actor, and Tom Cruise is in them.
Yeah,
he's in both of them, right? And it's like, yeah, even as a kid, you were like, God, it's the same fucking movie, except he's wearing a racing uniform.
Only doesn't Days of Thunder have Carrie Ellis in it?
It does, and John C. Reilly, predating his tenure in Talladega Nights. But yeah, I do. I think Tin Cup is a phenomenally fun goddamn movie. And one of my favorite Costner flicks.
Well,
and we're a big fan.
And honestly, I mean, like Costner looks like a golfer. Like he actually pulls it off pretty well. Like he has a pretty good swing. And can do that pretty well.
Do you feel Johnson does as well or no?
Don Johnson?
Yeah,
he's fine.
Okay. I don't know. I wouldn't.
He played the character very, very well, I think.
But not in terms of like necessarily looking like a golfer.
Yeah, he looked like a golfer for sure. Yeah. I mean, he had the look and the attitude, and the pompous arrogance of a PGA Tour player of the early '90s.
I mean, and Chris McDonald, who famously played Shooter McGavin. So, anyways, the reason why I was bringing this up is because outside of Caddyshack, there were not really golf movies.
Yeah.
Until Happy Gilmore and Tin Cup came out almost within a year of each other. One that was a straight comedy. Well, I would say both are straight comedies, but one was a gag.
Yeah.
Happy Madison.
Very different types of comedy.
Very different type of comedy. And Tin Cup, which is more of that Bull Durham type of thing. Which then led into some actual serious golf movies, which was like
Bagger Vance.
Well, there are a couple that not a lot of people saw, and one which is my favorite.
Okay.
Which I'll get to last.
All right.
But I actually at the Fort Lauderdale Film Festival in 2002, when I was a freshman at MSU, I saw, or 2001, a movie called The Gentleman's Game. which was a golf movie starring Gary Sinise. He wasn't the main guy. Oh gosh, what's the name of the host from Magnolia? He was the host of the show.
Philip Baker Hall.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Philip Baker Hall. Dylan Baker plays the main character's father. It's this really interesting.
And Brian Doyle Murray is in it.
Yeah, exactly. He is. And it's this really interesting film that I saw, and the director talked for half an hour ahead of it, and was like, "I really wanted to make a movie about golf." It's like one of the only movies he's ever directed, I think.
Yeah.
He was Richard Donner's assistant.
Yeah.
For 10 or 15 years. And it's really interesting because it's a class warfare movie. It's not a class warfare movie. And it's more about expectation versus reality. Like, expect, like, you were the son of a club pro. You're supposed to be, good and fall into this role and do whatever. Well, what if your dad is the club pro and he doesn't want you to learn anything about golf? And so it's a really interesting kind of play they do on that. Still very political, and then if it gets into high society and talks about, like, the downfall of high society and, like, why this doesn't mix well. And that pairs really well with The Greatest Game Ever Played, which is Shia LaBeouf, Bill Paxton directed. I think it's the best golf movie ever made.
It's a great movie.
It's a brilliant movie. It's all about how a guy who won the amateur, who was not highborn in England, who was ostracized by his own community, but won the amateur and then won the English Open. They're trying to back him as an Englishman to win the U.S. Open. He's like, my country never supported me because I'm the son of a shepherd.
Right.
And so, meanwhile, there's this kid, played by Shia LaBeouf, who's a caddy, who was like, I'm going to qualify for the U.S. Open and fucking win it. And the two of them are kind of the same person, but in different generations. And how they don't fit into this high society archetype, but their game is good enough to kind of supplant them. But they're playing against one another is the best part, in this tournament.
It's kind of
interesting. A great movie.
I'm kind of curious why there's not, like, it seems like at this point after we've had golf movies,
an amateur.
And this is the 1917 U.S. Open. It's Wame. It was Wame.
Francis Wame, yeah.
Yeah, Francis Wame.
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting to me because, and I assume both of you know or maybe don't know, but they have greenlit a Happy Gilmore 2 is going to be coming out for Netflix.
Well,
is it going to be Netflix only?
It's really
think it's Netflix. Yeah. So what's
he's got a contract with them, right?
Yeah, but also what's curious to me is that there's not a lot of
love.
No. There's not a lot about the seniors tour necessarily in golf movies. It's really never focused on, which I would think would be like kind of a slam dunk niche to fall into, especially with the popularity of golf kind of gaining again.
Is that
right
what
now.
Happy Gilmore 2 is going to be?
Well, that's what I'm guessing it has to be, right? He's not, he's 55.
He would be senior tour.
Like
level.
he would be senior tour, and it's always interesting to me because my one connection to golf was a friend that I went to high school with that I was good friends with. Her dad was a pro for 25 years
on the PGA Tour.
No, he was just a golf pro in Palm Beach County.
He was a PGA professional.
Yeah,
PGA professional.
And then he just decided one year, he was like, I'm going to go out for the tour. And he went out and Bruce Fleischer, who this was like 20 years ago, and then had like a great career on the seniors tour for, like 3 or 4 years. I think that's a fucking fascinating story of kind of watching these, because you can't do that in any other sport.
He did his dream.
Yeah.
At the end of his... He had his kids.
Yep.
He lived he did his career.
Exactly.
And then he was able to do a professional...
And then gets like sponsorships and all this shit.
Athletic career.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's... Because you can't do that. You can't have a hockey movie with like a 60-year-old guy that's like, I've come back to playing hockey.
Al Gore did.
I read this book many, many, many years ago when I was like 20. I think on like my dad and Reddit, and I read it, which is where it's like there's a dude who same thing, he's like a lawyer and likes playing golf or whatever, but then all of a sudden one day he's like out playing and he sees the line and like physically sees the line. Like a line appears in front of him and he just all of a sudden starts playing really well and then wins a bunch of events and then qualifies or qualifies or whatever, and then like kind of loses his way and is like over dedicating time to golf or whatever. And then of course the whole thing is at the end, you know, he stops seeing the line, doesn't see the line anymore. And then
then he's not good anymore? Yeah.
He's not good. And he's coming back and playing on the last round of the event. And he sees the line and the line goes to his family.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I really like everything until you got to that part. I just physically felt vile.
That just made me revolt.
But what I was going to say is that's the problem with golf movies, though, or golf stories, is a lot of them have this kind of like, oh, well.
Oh, God.
He spends too much time away from his family.
That's so bad. Oh, man.
This is a literal book I read. I forgot what it was called.
It's called Turd.
Yeah. It was called Awful Golf Book.
Awful Christian golf book.
And then the line went to the Church of Jesus Christ, where he
written by one man's wife.
Oh, man. I have never turned on a story faster than that.
Written by many women's wives. Many wives.
Many men's wives.
Oh, shit. That is amazing.
That was so bad.
I mean, I can't beat that as a...
I mean, it's funny, right? I mean,
it's great.
That actually exists.
I also like golf is a funny thing. Like I grew up on caddy. I didn't know shit about golf or care about golf at all. But Caddyshack was like, you know, that was a staple around the house to watch that constantly. And even like my parents and some of like my friends' parents were like, it was one of those things that was in that generation where like our parents were watching Animal House and Caddyshack, like in their like probably like mid 30s at that point, and then we were catching up on them as like kids, and we could kind of like bond over that stuff. But like Caddyshack, like why do you think Caddyshack endures as far as like just for appealing to such a wide audience?
Well, one, it was shot in Canyon Beach.
Yeah,
and also filmed in the Boca Resort.
That one, Caddyshack 2 was down at the one in Coral Springs. That one was where because I know my friend had his bar mitzvah there, and they were like, "This is where they shot Caddyshack 2," and people forget that there was a Caddyshack 2. It was a pretty terrible movie.
It's pretty bad.
It's a pretty awful movie.
Well, that's my whole issue with Happy Gilmore too. Not that I've seen it yet, obviously, but
we don't know.
In all sequels for that matter, they're just money grabs.
Comedies do not make good sequels.
No.
There are good sequels,
especially if they try to
redo
redo the same jokes. I mean, come on.
But I mean, if Will Zalatoris does show up as Happy's,
is he? Is that part of the?
Apparently,
that's going to be funny. It would be funny.
And also, I mean, I will watch Shooter McGavin again.
Matt, just so you know. So in Happy Gilmore, Happy is assigned the caddy, the little blonde kid.
Yeah.
Well, there's a guy on tour named Will Zalatoris who looks just like that guy. And so they're saying, oh, yeah, well, he's playing the same character in the new one. So.
Yeah. I listen. I'll give it a shot. What's funny?
I mean,
for
I'll
me,
watch it. Don't get me wrong. I mean, that's gonna. I mean, I watched Anchorman 2.
Yeah,
you know. I mean,
I didn't hate Anchorman 2, to be honest. It wasn't as good as Anchorman 1, but it wasn't terrible. I think also for me, and I know this will be blasphemous for everyone, I'm honestly not the biggest Happy Gilmore fan. I was a Billy Madison kid. I thought Billy Madison was 100 times better than Happy Gilmore. It's fine. I know we have disagreed about this on the podcast before.
Happy Gilmore is Adam Sandler's funniest movie.
I think Billy Madison is his funniest movie and far supersedes Happy Gilmore. Happy Gilmore's fine.
Clown.
Happy Gilmore's funny.
This guy probably hates Flagpole Sitta too.
you fucking ass, I do. No,
you hate puppies too.
I don't hate Happy Gilmore. I just don't think it's as funny. To me, I felt like it was a step down from Billy Madison. But that was
actually a better movie.
Do you think possibly you didn't get the golf humor in it?
I mean,
There's a lot of
Was
golf
it
humor.
that high? Was it that highbrow?
There's a lot of golf humor in it.
Like, tell me something I didn't get in Happy Gilmore.
Well, I'm not saying you
illuminate
didn't get it. I'm just, you know, like,
Well, like for example, the Kevin Nealon character, where he's like, feel it. You know, like kind of doing the whole Chevy Chase thing, but that whole thing where he's just like, man. Well, every time it comes to that guy,
a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure.
A lot of pressure.
I mean, I can understand that joke without having, you know. I also did golf a little bit back in the day, but I just think it's funny that I didn't get the humor in Happy Gilmore because I don't golf, because it's such an accurate golf movie.
It's got plenty of good golf stuff in there.
It's good. It does.
I think
meet me on the 9th green at 9.
I think it's a funny movie. I just think Billy Madison's funnier. So I also don't feel like I had this argument with Nick because he was like, I can't believe they're doing Happy Gilmore 2. And I'm like, who cares? It doesn't matter. You still have Happy Gilmore 1. Like, it's not going anywhere. If they want to make a sequel, make a sequel. Who cares?
And they're going to have Christopher McDonald back as Shooter. So.
I mean, and I will always sign up to watch like iconic character actors get another shot at something really funny. Like, of course he's going to be good in it. Maybe the movie's not great, but he'll be funny.
Well, I love the fact that, I mean, obviously, like, Christopher McDonald is not like the hugest name actor in the world, but I love the fact that he's never shied away from it.
No.
And he's just like, no, that's my role. That's Shooter. That's me. I totally embrace Shooter.
I'd also love to see Ben Stiller come back because I do love Ben Stiller in that movie quite a bit. He's maybe my favorite part of that movie.
This is some grade A serious shit here.
That, and I do like the whole arc with Happy's actual caddy, the Alan Covert with the big old beard that's like learning the game, going along with him. Like it's a good movie. It's not a bad movie, but it's not as funny as Billy Madison.
Well, I just got to throw that in there.
Well, that's your opinion, man. Fuck you.
That's damn right.
But you know, Billy Madison, it's such a, I don't know.
It was his arguably his. It launched his career.
It's a lazy comedy. It's just slapstick, terrible. Blah. I never liked it. It just didn't.
Billy Madison?
Kind of like how I never liked.
Lazy?
Yeah, it's lazy.
What?
Lazy comedy. That's what it is. It's just slapstick humor. There's no thought to it.
I do love that this is being done in
unison.
No, just against, like, as if Happy Gilmore. Like
Happy Gilmore has
the highest brow.
Happy Gilmore has an actual story structure.
Okay.
They have golf jokes.
Yeah.
Well,
they have multiple shots where Lee Trevino looks up and shakes his head.
Those are money shots.
Oh, those are money shots.
Yeah.
I do like Jaws showing up in it. I
Grizzly Adams did have a beard.
Grizzly Adams did have a beard. It's pretty funny.
I had pieces of shit like you for breakfast.
There are great lines in it. I think there are great lines in Billy.
I had to. Oh fuck! I lost it. I had to hit off of Frankenstein's fat foot.
Yeah.
It is funny. Listen, I saw that movie in the theater, so
guns don't kill people. I kill people.
Yeah. I think it's funny that there's a guy on the message board that I'm on where his username is Frankenstein's fat foot.
Love it. That's pretty funny.
Yeah. All right.
Well,
how are we talking about golf enough?
I think we did it, guys. John, thanks for joining us on the podcast. Paul, thanks for not joining us on the podcast. We didn't need you. We don't want you.
I'm happy to cook for Paul.
I do. I mean, I do have in front of me Paul's talking points about her. This is paragraphs and paragraphs that he wrote the last time he was on the podcast.
I 100% took a picture of that.
It's kind of amazing. Well, that's for another time. Next time Paul joins us again. He's been on the podcast.
But hey, guys, I'd like to say I had a really good time, and anytime you want to have me back, I feel like it doesn't have to be a subject that I'm familiar with. I could just be, this is my pitch to get back on the show.
Well, don't call us. We'll call you. It's good. Yeah.
Let's pencil down John for episode 347, civil engineering.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good one. Civil engineering in film.
And if you guys ever want to talk about roundabouts or traffic calming,
roundabouts fucking suck because people don't know how to use them. We've talked about this, John.
My God.
It's not the roundabout's fault. It's that we live in Florida and Floridians don't know how to drive, and it ruins it.
Or maybe it's the user.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. They don't know how to use them, and I use them correctly, and I get an
But let
accident.
me ask you this. Would you rather get T-boned or would you rather
I don't think
get
it's the.
sideswiped?
I don't think it's the
Wait.
user. I think it's the program.
Are you talking about? Are you talking about like right now? Would I rather get T-boned? A T-boned by you?
No,
guys?
would you rather?
Yeah,
Would
T-boned
you
by you
rather get
guys.
sideswiped or T-boned?
I want you guys to T-bone me.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you so much for listening to the New Way Podcast. With
Old
Zach, with-
fashions.
Old fashions for everyone.
Haven't had an old fashioned in a long time.
That's wonderful.
Is that the normal sign-off?
No, it's not. That would be amazing. I had 2 old fashioned clips.
Oh, wow. A nice old fashioned.
It makes me laugh.
Old-fashioned.
We want to thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next time. Cheers.
Cheers. Say cheers, Sean.
Cheers.
There we go.